welcome, welcome, welcome. We'll just give it another 30 seconds for the attendees to arrive and people to sort of come into the room and get themselves settled. There's no room, you're all in your homes or your offices, but you know, the virtual room for us to present here. Very, very excited to have you all joining us for this fine day, whether you're doing this over a lunchtime and stuff in your faces, or you've carved out some time to really to dig into this wonderful topic. And so I just want to welcome everyone here for joining us today. This is part of a 4-part webinar. So we're on part 3 of a series of webinars. And if you're thinking, wait, what? I just heard about this today or this week and I signed up, and you want to take advantage of the other parts, you are welcome to. You can just drop a little note in chat here as well and say, hey, hook me up with the other recordings, because we record all of these. So the last one will be on Thursday, April 7th, getting the most out of your performance reviews. And we'd love to have you at that one too. And so we can send you the link to sign up for that one. So you pop a note in chat if you say, hey, I'd like the recordings of the previous ones. You can certainly hop onto our YouTube channel as well and find them there. So, but yeah, today is an interactive webinar and a session. So we really do want you to interact with us. So leaving comments and questions in the chat. You can do that if you're not familiar, right at the bottom. Well, you're not familiar. Everyone's been on Zoom for the last 2 years nonstop. I think we all know how to use Zoom and chat and questions. But our mission at Manage for Performance, or M4P, is to turn managers into coaches and teammates into top performers. And so because this is our driving passion, equipping companies, equipping managers to really to sort of convert themselves into coaches, high-powered coaches, and getting teams working in the same direction and having champion teams. That's really our goal. My whole history and career has been in the people space of recruitment and hiring. And then I realized, there's no point in hiring amazing people if you don't know how to keep them top performing and highly engaged. So this Manage for Performance is all coming from a platform and a tool that really equips companies and managers to do just this. But I love this topic that we're talking about today, living out your diversity statement. I don't know about you, but about 3 years ago, I looked at our company. I thought, goodness me, we need to change some things here. I actually need to care about this topic. I've been completely unintentional. I need to become intentional about diversity, and I had to write my own statement. It was a 2-page statement, and it was more of a kind of a manifesto of where I wanted to see our company go over the next 3 years and 10 years, and what are we going to look like in 3 years' time or a decade's time. And I had to get really passionate about that with a deep conviction if I wanted to see anything change. And so I know for many of our clients, we've got 1,500 companies that we work with. They're on this journey going, oh, goodness me, what am I supposed to do about this? I don't know. Almost a little bit kind of like a topic like cryptocurrency, like, I don't know, that scares me. I'm going to screw this thing up. I don't want to dabble in that. I don't know anything about it. Like, it's okay to become a posture of humility and say, I don't really know, but I want to learn. So here you are today because you want to get better at this, I'm assuming. And we've got three of us here. I was going to say 3 fantastic people. Yes, including me. But we've got Raina Fryer. She is our head of people and learning at Titus Talent Strategies. And she has rich background in the talent space, people honoring and valuing people. She's a coach herself as a professional executive coach. And then we have Edgar Jones with us as well. And this person, Edgar, is a NFL. I mean, he was, okay, I have to see if I can get this right. You played for the Baltimore Ravens, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Dallas Cowboys. This guy knows something about high performance. Even if you don't like any of those teams, he still knows something about high performance and getting teams working well together. And so all 3 of us are passionate about, and probably in different experience levels on our journey of this whole topic of diversity, equity, and inclusion. How do we do these things well? I am coming from a posture of, I don't know, I'm on a journey. I only know where I'm at right now. And so I'm delighted to be standing here or sitting here with these fine folk. But Edgar, let me throw this out to you. Why would you say a diversity statement is really important?
That's a great question, John. You know, the why is extremely important in everything we do in life. What's my why behind it? And first, I'll say this: if you don't have a diversity statement, you need to get one, because your diversity statement demonstrates and it shows a company's commitment to welcoming people from all different walks of life. And when you're living this diversity statement out, it gives the people a sense that they belong. So Forbes did a study on workplace culture of belonging, diversity, and inclusivity. And when people feel like they belong, there was a 56% increase in job performance.
Wow.
So 56% increase in job performance. So we can see that living out your diversity statement is extremely beneficial for your company. And the thing about it is, it just can't be words. It can't be a piece of paper that's in the corner that collects dust. You actually have to put this into action, because if you don't, people will see right through it. And the great thing about living it out is it gives you a chance to see through the eyes of others, because I'm hearing from people that come from different races, different cultures, different backgrounds, different upbringings. And through that, me and my organization can now get perspective. And that's the cool thing about hearing from people that come from different walks of life, is you can get perspective. And we want to create an environment where employees can share their perspective, because at the end of the day, we all have them, but we also have blind spots. And there's also things that I'm missing and I cannot see. So having those conversations and putting things into action with you and your employees gives the organization a extensive view on now how we look at things. And that's the beautiful thing about M4P, because yes, it helps with showing performance and if you're hitting your objectives, but also the other great benefit of it is it gives you valuable feedback from your teammates and from others. And through that feedback, I can be diverse in how I think. And through that, that's how you build a culture of change. So we're getting and hearing these different perspectives. It can help with really on the growth mindset. And I think we all can admit that we all can grow. There's always room for growth, but you have to want to, you truly have to want to. So we want to be able to take the other approach of people first. And when you take that approach of people first, people feel valued and cared for. So Raina, I have a question for you. In your experience, why is it important to understand the different dimensions of our diversity?
Well, before we get into that, we should probably define what it means. So let's do that first. So first, let's define dimensions of diversity, which really refers to the work diversity of a company and the employees who work there having different traits, backgrounds, and abilities. Once we understand what it means, then we can work together to create it. And I think it's interesting that when we talk about diversity, most of us immediately think about diversity as the things we can see, the color of our skin or a visible disability. But diversity is just so much more than that. It's about our personality. It's about our behavioral style, how we go about interacting with people and our work every day, our age, our gender, education levels, and our beliefs. So we achieve that diversity, that dimensions of diversity, by being thoughtful with our hiring strategies, always considering the whole person and what they can bring to the organization, not just the relevant qualifications or job experience. You will hear us a lot talking about the whole person in a lot of the conversations that we have. Something else that is incredibly important to that DE&I initiatives that is commonly missed is actually the I, the inclusion piece. So if we put a ton of effort into hiring initiatives and having these plans around numbers designed in to bring in that unique thought and perspective, but then do nothing to ensure people feel truly that sense of belonging in an organization, we will become turnover central. So just as much thought, maybe even more, needs to go into creating a strong culture to support and create that sense of belonging that we will speak of. So just remember, I think we're all much more than meets the eye. And that is an important key in building a diverse organization. There's so much that goes into it and diving into those different dimensions. Jonathan, throwing it back to you, how do you or we go about living our diversity statements? We put a lot of effort into writing them. So now how do we live what we've written down on a piece of paper?
Yeah, and it's helpful to kind of first of all just understand kind of the why. Like, why is this important? I mean, they've got these dimensions of it, You know, why is it important to live out your statements? Great, but why why is diversity important? And that was the question I had to start with. Like, is this important to me or not? Do I really care or not? And then why do I care? And so it's not about even you know all these dimensions of diversity and then checking off the boxes and going, okay, we've got 2 of these people, 1 of those, you know, like got one. You know, it's not about that. It's why. Well, it's because this is my answer. It's not the right answer. It's just my answer. Because we have 1,500 plus customers that are around the country and around the world. They have all different types of backgrounds. We exist to serve them, right? They're all different kinds of backgrounds, and we're serving all these different people from all different ways and walks of life. So therefore, to understand and be a better servant to those people of different thoughts and perspectives and upbringings, we need to have a perspective ourselves. So the greater the level of diverse thought and perspective on our team, we can more effectively serve others, serve our customers and where we exist. So, and that was a big sort of why. I'm like, oh yeah, that's really, really important. It's like the airbag I discovered was created by all male engineers, and it didn't put into thought and perspective of women and children. And so when it first came out, they're like, whoa, this thing's actually damaging people a lot more than we thought, because it was designed with one mindset in kind of a view. And so I'm like, oh, wow, I need to think about things from all different types of perspectives. I can't do that without asking and understanding other people. So it is a journey. And so when we started, our DEI statement is on our website now. You're welcome to go to titustalent.com and you can click on you'll find it. You'll navigate yourself around and find the statement there. But it is something that is a deep conviction that we have now, and everybody in our company has agreed to going on this journey together. And we all understand why we're going on this journey. But I brought in a consultant and a coach, now friend of mine, Beth Ridley, who really, really helped us understand some of the answer to these why questions, like why do you even care? And I was like, wow, yeah, that's a good point. So, but then we had to get really practical. So I just said, you don't want it to be a bunch of check boxes and stats and things like that. We're talking about real people with real upbringings, real backgrounds, thoughts and perspectives, and nobody wants to feel like they're a number. But when you have an intentional plan to grow in an area, you can't manufacture people in your organization. So it is going to come down to a talent attraction strategy, a big part. And then the inclusion piece, when you bring them into your organization, people of all different walks of life, do they feel welcome and included? And so this whole component here just, it doesn't, we have to think about how we train our team members on why we do what we do and the value of hearing other people's voices and perspectives, which is really hard because most walks of life, we gather around people who think like us, act like us, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's easier that way. And so to go, no, I value this so much, it's going to take some work and effort here, and to design roles in your organization around the business need, not designing roles around just going, okay, we need somebody with this thought and perspective. Why? So first and foremost, to make everything completely fair and equitable, build your seats or your roles around what needs to get done, achieved, or accomplished. It's a fantastic way of ensuring that when you interview people, you're interviewing for this job, this what needs to get done, achieved, or accomplished, and it's not discriminatory now. And so you actually designed it around the position that needs to get done, achieved, or accomplished. And so I think some of those that are practical things, making sure that every seat or role in our organization has clear performance objectives that need to get done, achieved, or accomplished. And so that's really, really important. So thanks. I just see in chat there, somebody posted our commitment to D&I. But I think, yeah, that's some of the practicalities. And if you're going to grow in an area of diverse thought and perspective, kind of what thoughts and perspective do we need? Like in my illustration of the airbag, kind of, what thought and perspective I need here to accurately serve our customers in a different way and think from a different perspective and meet the needs of our customers. That's one way of looking at it. So, but just how do you train managers is a big question we get a lot. I mean, Edgar, I don't know if you want to speak to that. Just talking about how do you train managers? How do you train people to get better at this?
Well, that's another great question, Jonathan. Well, you said it at the beginning. At M4P, we talk about turning managers into coaches and teammate into top performers. So it's first is to get managers to think about they're in a leadership position and that they're coaching people. And by definition, a coach is just someone who teaches and trains an individual. Now, the other thing about that is I can't coach all players the same. You can't coach all people the same because we all are different. We all have different skills, different talents, and different behaviors. And that's the other great benefit of M4P, because with the predictive index and the behavior analysis, it gives you a better understanding of this individual and what they do well. And it also shows you on how this person needs to be treated, how they would like to be treated. Not what I think, but based off what I know, based off this information that I'm getting. And that's critical because it goes back to, in our last webinar, we talked about objectives. Well, my objectives will be different from yours and your objectives will be different from Raina. But the way I can understand it is by understanding actually the person that I'm coaching. So that's the great side of understanding the person, that I'm coaching. So, Raina, I'll pass it back to you. What other steps, or what should we be careful of as we're living out our diversity statement?
Well, I think one of the things we talk about as another step is just being aware of those opportunities to fill the gaps for future development of our people. I mean, we have to be, to go back to your sentiment, we have to be prepared to coach our managers on being what each individual needs them to be, and to be thinking about each person uniquely in terms of their needs when it comes to helping our team members be successful in the workplace. The example that I often give is talking about supporting someone who needs a flexible work arrangement. One person may need a flexible work arrangement because they're supporting an elderly parent, and there are certain times of day they need to administer medications or take their loved ones to medical appointments. Another person who needs a flexible arrangement might be an individual who needs to be out of work by 3 p.m. every day because they need to or want to pick up their kiddos from school each day. So rather than us thinking about these unique situations as problems, we need to think about how to turn those needs and create solutions that allow us to support our amazing talent so we can retain our people, removing barriers that are going to prohibit our high-performing team members really from being able to focus on their work, which they likely can focus on work if we can support the needs in their personal life as well. We know the talent market is very strong right now, very tight. And we don't want to lose people because we can't find a way to be flexible. The focus is on the performance. That's what we're measuring with M4P, is how's a person performing? And if they can perform with us working around some things, but they're still performing, let's try to find a way to do that. Yeah. Our managers may need support because a lot of managers may not be used to having to flex this way or think this way. We might want to support them to know what the decisions they can actually make around their own, rather than having to escalate up. For example, does your mid-level manager approve a different schedule without having to go up to a director? Or do they get to make that decision, or do they need to go up the chain to make that decision? So creating decision trees that allow managers to see where they can be empowered to make decisions on their people is a great step. You may also want to consider creating a team that is a champion team around DEI to support the questions and needs for our team members. So maybe not everybody is the most educated on DEI, but a champion team that can really support and help with questions that come through to the organization. You may also want to think about providing training to your team members around the dimensions of diversity so that we can think beyond what are those things that we see, just that primary dimension that pops up quite a bit. You could also refer to an external consultant, much like Jonathan mentioned earlier, that he worked with Beth Ridley, who is an expert in this area, so that we could get help identifying our blind spots early on in the process and then creating strategies and playbooks around how to address them. And then finally, you're going to want to consider creating goals around DEI. You have to aim for something. So I think what's that quote? I think it's something like, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. So we definitely need to have something that we're aiming for because it shows our success. For example, we would have a goal to create a DEI action plan for the remainder of 2022 by the end of this month. So we have something to act on and against throughout the rest of the year to help us succeed on this journey. So everything we're doing and everything we want you to do is to be really intentional around your plan to get wherever your journey is supposed to take you. And again, that will look different for all of you because your diversity statements will also likely look different from one another.
Yeah, right.
So, go ahead.
No,
I got excited, Edgar.
I did too.
Go on. You had.
So yeah, Raina, the key word you said is intentional. You
Yes.
know, just being intentional in everything you do. And you know, people they can see when you're intentional. They can see if it's just something you're scratching off the list, or you're really being intentional, trying to make improvements in your organization. You know, as we continue to move on, we talk more about leading a diverse workforce. We're going to talk about the 5 C's. And these 5 C's are critical because you want to be able to bring out everyone's best and have a space where people feel safe, comfortable, and they feel welcome. So the first C we're going to talk about is celebrate, being able to celebrate the differences in your organization. And the thing about this is it shouldn't be year round. It shouldn't just be on Christmas or a holiday. This should start to just become a way of life in your organization on whatever day you choose to do it. Because if I'm just doing it once a year, right? It's like me, you know, the only time I'm thankful on Thanksgiving. Am I truly being thankful? Like, you know, it's like being intentional and trying to make it more of a habit of celebrating all the differences in your organization. And I think a way you could also be able to do that is finding out from the employees about their ideals and what they think as well. This goes back to their perspective and the ideals and what they think. The second one, C, is conflict. We want to make sure we're creating a safe place where people feel comfortable again, and they can share their concerns and be able to give their feedback. Because as we're having this conversation about diversity, conflict will happen. We can't escape conflict. It will happen. So the other part of that is, how do we take this conflict and turn it into something healthy for the benefit of the organization? How can we take these conversations that start off as conflict and turn into something healthy as the benefit of the organization? Mm-hmm. So the third C we have is cater.
Yep. And I was going to say, Edgar, too, in terms of conflict, I think when we hear that word as business professionals, we get a little bit nervous, but there is a lot to say about healthy conflict in the workplace. We do want there to be a space for people to challenge one another's thinking. That really is how we get better. So this is leading into the third C is cater. And this is really tied to a bit to equity. I always like to say that fair and equal are 2 different things. We don't treat everybody equally because we are not all the same, but we do want to treat people fairly. So get to know your employees, their preferences, their stories, and then find ways to work with them. Consider who they are, their needs, their preferences, and adjust accordingly when you're able. We know that you can't acquiesce to every request that comes through, but where you're able, if it's going to help you keep a great performer, a top performer who's leading your business, let's find a way to make that happen.
Yeah. Well, the other one we have is to capitalize, you know, to know your employees, to know what they bring to the table, knowing their strengths and what they do well. And this goes back again to getting their feedback and being able to hear their employees out. And I would tie this back again to the behavior analysis, being able to know your people and know how to put them in a position to be successful. So capitalize and being able to know your employees and what they do well.
Great. And number 5, last one of our 5 C's here is care. We're dealing with people, right? People who have lives, they have feelings, they have emotions, they have hopes, they have dreams and disappointments and frustrations, like you do, like I do. Do you show genuine, authentic care, respect and appreciation and value of honoring? Is that a part of your culture, that you actually honor people and show them that they're important and they're meaningful to the organization and to you as a person? Things like, you know, saying, hey, you mean a lot to me is maybe a bit more valuable than you mean a lot to our organization, because meaning a lot to the organization is kind of like what you do. Meaning a lot to me is kind of who you are. So showing genuine and authentic care on a personal level is great to really bring that, just value and unity around this whole topic. But one of the things I found is having a system in place to actually show care is really, really helpful. Because if you have hundreds of employees in your organization or thousands of employees in your organization, it's easy for people to get lost. And when you're talking about the topic of inclusion, where people feel like they're welcome to the table and that they have a voice and they have a space, acknowledging that person and acknowledging individuals is really important. So one of the things that we have, and you keep hearing this M4P, it's actually a tool and a platform that we've created, which is really helping us in all these topics. And so because we're so passionate about this, and I really mean it, we are passionate about this topic of people and all people and valuing and honoring all people, we're going to give you a gift. And this is just for those who are here on this webinar. If you want this gift as well, you can reach out to us and maybe we'll extend it to you if you missed the webinar and you're watching the recording. But it's access to a tool. Number one is a 1-hour session and training with your senior leadership team or executive team on this topic of DE&I and how to actually live out a statement. If you want help creating your own statement, your own journey document of where you're planning on going, we can do that too. We're going to give you 1-hour gift of consulting time on that. And then access for 90 days, a tool and a resource where you can actually show care, where you can show, celebrate your values, your core values being lived out by team members. I find, and I've found, that when we talk about diverse thought and perspective, we celebrate that, but we're not giving up on our values. And what our core values are as a company, we're going to celebrate the heck out of those. Whoever's doing those and living them out, we want to celebrate it. And so we've created a platform that really does that, gives real-time celebratory feedback. And you can create it around your values or service behaviors that you would like your team to be living out. And we'll give you access to that and training for your managers for 90 days. And if you see a positive impact in that, we will be absolutely delighted, and we're asking nothing in return. So that's it. You have access to that. Hit the QR code. I think everyone knows how to use a QR code. Get your phone out, point it at the screen here, and it'll lead you to a place where you can say, hey, I want more information. I need some help here. I'd love this 90-day trial and 90 days to see the impact over the next 90 days. They say it takes 30 days to create a habit, right? 90 days, it'll create a habitual habit in your managers and your team members to celebrate one another. And so that was the first of the C's, celebrate. And the last one was care. And so we're bringing a combination of those two to you. And if you're thinking, hey, that sounds wonderful, but you've been talking about performance management and getting teams working together. I need a lot more than just that. Hey, we would love to help you as a talent strategy company. Let's just get on the phone, have a conversation, and we'll explore how we can serve you. We are passionate about this. We didn't create this as a business idea. We created this because we have a deep-seated belief that people matter. So give us an opportunity to show you how we can serve you. Thank you so much for joining here. And as you know, this is, I've already mentioned, this is a part of a 4-part series. The next one's coming up on April 7th at 12 Central. Get the most out of your performance reviews. Most of us are running for-profit businesses with a goal in mind. So when we hire people, we want them to get something done. And so how do you do that in a way that shows all of these 5 C's at the same time and really genuinely demonstrate? So we're going to talk about that coming up on April 7th. Look forward to having you. We welcome you, welcome any of your colleagues or friends as well. And yeah, look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks so much on behalf of Raina, Edgar, myself, and the whole M4P team. Cheers. Have a great rest of your day.